guys, it is it's like 4:39 in the morning, and this is my last shift at Club Fitness ever. So I am dressed, my leggings on. I'm gonna put up my hair, brush my teeth, and then get out. I have been studying for a little bit and I started to lose focus. So I know it's important for me to eat whenever I lose focus. That's normally like the big troubleshooting solution. Like for real, I keep losing my train of thought. I'm really happy that I won't be working the 5 a.m.s anymore. I stepped into this schedule because the person who used to work mornings literally said, hey, I'm gonna quit if someone doesn't take my morning shifts. And our team is so small at this location because we're a smaller gym, we don't need a lot of people. We have 5 people regular on staff, and corporate was telling our manager that he couldn't hire anyone else. So when our morning person was like, I'm gonna quit if someone doesn't take my morning shifts, we kind of scrambled, and I stepped up. And I thought it was gonna be a temporary thing, and I haven't stopped working the 5 a.m.s since August. In Bella fashion, the 35 hours that I was not spending at Club Fitness, that free time, did not last very long. I started getting into woodworking a lot more. I started working out a lot more. I spent time with Lita, walking her. And I also picked up an internship at a local nonprofit for 18 hours a week, which actually bumped my course load up to 19 credit hours this semester. And I also have 2 leadership positions on campus. So I don't really do well if I have free time. I find that if I have an excessive amount of time to just exist and fill in, I don't do very well. I'll tend to either be on the chill extreme, where I'm just like watching a bunch of movies and knitting, not being very productive, or I'll exist on the other side of the spectrum, which is like uber productive, uber busy, pretty overwhelmed. I haven't found a balance in my life yet. It's definitely something that I am working on. My quote this year is, balance is not something that you find, it is something you create. So I'm really working to embody that and make progress towards balance in my life. But it's really a struggle. And getting COVID did not help. During an APO chapter meeting on Thursday evening, I was eating Chinese. I was eating some Panda Express orange chicken, and I realized that it didn't taste as good as it normally does. That is one of my go-to stress meals. I love it so much. It's also just something that my boyfriend will get me if he wants to show me he loves me. So I was eating Panda Express's orange chicken, and I realized that I couldn't taste it. And I immediately started to flip out. So I went to the fridge. My boyfriend was right there. He was really wondering why I was overreacting so much. I went to the fridge and I started sniffing everything. I opened a container of minced garlic and I was like, I can't smell it. And I dropped lemon juice on my tongue and I couldn't taste it. So I called one of my APO brothers who had COVID, and I asked about her experience with contracting it. Like, what were the first signs that showed up, that kind of stuff. And she let me know that she lost her taste first, and then she got a fever and started to get the other effects a few days later. So I went ahead and I called my mom, and I just let her know, hey, you guys should be really wary. I think I might have COVID. And then I also reached out to my doctor, and I scheduled an appointment. Well, I scheduled a virtual appointment so that they could see if they wanted to have me in for a test. And the next morning I met with a doctor over, it wasn't even Zoom, it was like a telehealth forum where it was like a little more confidential, I guess. But I met with someone, and they said they wanted to have me come in and get tested because they thought I had COVID. I went and got tested on a Friday, and I thought I would get the results the next morning. It turns out I didn't get the results until Monday morning, so I stayed quarantined the entire weekend, and then on Monday morning I got the official news that I had COVID. My first few days with COVID were actually pretty productive. I still had energy, so I was able to do some things around the house. I did want to break from school, so I didn't focus much on schoolwork, but I was able to get some fun stuff done. Like the rug. Okay, so I pulled this rug out of a dumpster with my brothers. I had been walking with Lita, and I walked by one of those enormous dumpsters they put outside of homes that are being renovated, and this massive rug was sitting on top of everything. So I grabbed my brothers, I brought them down later that night, we pulled it out, and when we first got it into my home here with Abdi, I laid it out and I looked at space-wise where it was going to best fit, and I decided that it would be best to cut it down to my area space. Guys, I just went outside to throw out the carpet, and there was literally a squirrel in the dumpster. Literally a squirrel in the dumpster. So scary. Well, that's gonna end it off. I'm just gonna put all of the furniture back and then call it a day. My next plan is to get a carpet cleaner, and then I need carpet tape so that the edges don't fray. But thank you so much for joining me on this first part of installing a rug in my little area. When COVID did eventually hit me, it hit very hard. I felt like I was in a haze a lot of the time and was pretty tired. There was a 3-day span that I barely got off the couch because my body hurt so much. I remember trying to get up to cook for myself and literally bringing a chair into the kitchen because I couldn't manage to stand for prolonged amounts of time. It was pretty rough. So I don't have a lot of footage from that time, but when I did have energy, I tended to cook because that was the main activity that would get me up out of the couch. When I did have the energy, but I didn't feel comfortable moving, I would just sit and I would try and catch up on some schoolwork that I had missed. So it was rough. I'm thankful and very, very fortunate that I didn't end up in the hospital and that I didn't experience more intense symptoms, but I definitely didn't enjoy my time with COVID. To make matters worse, on the day that I was meant to return back to normal life, on the day that I finished out my quarantine, I woke up and I was sick. There was this crazy snowstorm going on, and that kept me from going into school. But then also I had these white mucus spots on my tonsils, and then my tonsils were super duper inflamed, and it was pretty painful to eat or drink water, sometimes even just swallow. So I managed to get a doctor's appointment. I went in the next day, and they were able to figure out that it wasn't strep and it wasn't mono, but they weren't able to identify it officially. So then I was at home for another week trying to recover from that. When my throat infection cleared up, I began working out again when my schedule allowed, but mainly I spent a lot of time studying. I happened to get better just in time for midterms and the grant application due date for my internship. I'm thankful that I got better in time to plow through all this work, but it was really difficult. Honestly, the month of February it actually is one of the worst months that I can recall. But I made it through, and that's what matters. As I record this voice memo, I am actually done with everything. I finished my midterms. Well, I have one more due at the end of this week, but I finished the bulk of my midterms. The grant submission date has passed, and I've just started to give a lot more time to myself. I really am happy with how things have turned around, and coming out of the month of February, I am proud of how I handle myself, and I am really going to prioritize my mental health and my sleep and my physical health over internships and crazy school requirements. So I am confident moving forward that I won't have to go through as horrible of a time as this month was. Fingers crossed. So thank you all who are still listening, who are still watching. I appreciate your presence. I appreciate your support. And I hope that you guys had a decent month of February. We made it. We survived. And who knows, by May, we might have returned to normal life. Have a nice day, guys. Bye.